Do me for hold this L.
Hold this L.
Hold this L.
Welcome to Hold This L podcast with your host Lonnie and Cappel. What's going on, cuz? How you doing?
Man, doing great, bro. Man, had some good news happen this week. I'm gonna leave it a little silent until the next week's show. Announce it to everybody then once everything is official. But I do have some big news coming up. Other than that, man, everything's been going good. Getting ready for these football playoffs today. Ready to tackle some more fantasy basketball. Been doing pretty good. So, man, everything's been going great. How about you, bro?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I can't complain. Good news for you. That's good news for me because we family. So I'm happy for you. But yeah, I'm good. Same thing you just said. The same thing with me. I've been playing fantasy. I've been excited about it. Still doing pretty good. It's crazy, man. Because sometimes when so I don't know how other people play fantasy when it comes to like how they budget their money. But I put a certain amount of money in, and if I hit big, I'll pull a certain amount out, and then I leave a certain amount in. But I don't try to put too much in at one time. That was a mistake I made, years ago, and then I try to play a certain percentage of it. But every now and then I get to a point to where I just have like a dry spell, and it's time for me to add a little cash in there. And I got to my last 25 cents, and I made a killer ass lineup and won $1. Now, if you think about the amount that I won for 25 cents, win $1, that's like 4 times the amount.
Yeah.
For 25 cents. How come I can't make that lineup? How come I didn't make that lineup a couple of days ago when I had some dollars in there and playing a little bit more money? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, those things be happening. Sometimes sometimes I'm like, I ain't playing no 25 cents. If I hit big, I'm be pissed off. Like if I actually make a good lineup, be pissed off because you be wanting to have that lineup in a game where it's actually a decent amount of money on the line as far as like even if you just cash, not even if you win first place. And I know you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But that happened yesterday. Well, I made a pretty good lineup. Made $1, took 25 cents, made $1. Wish that could have been, a little more, but it is what it is. It's fantasy, you know what I'm saying? And it's a gamble, it's a risk, but it's fun and it's been profitable so far. But that's not what we're here today for. We're here to talk about some real live sports, not the gambling on sports. Start off with football, man. Last weekend's football games were really good. Really good weekend of football.
Good.
We got this weekend coming up with the semifinals, the second round, and what do they call them semifinals? What do they call them?
Quarterfinals.
The quarterfinals, yeah. And divisional playoffs. That's what I meant. That's what I meant to say. The divisional playoffs. We still got we got the conference championship next week. But last week's, I want to talk about these Browns real quick. Browns Steelers game. Now I get it. A lot of people probably say, well, the Steelers shot themselves in the foot. They did start off real bad. They start off with that fumble on the first snap into the end zone for a touchdown. The Browns recovered it. But let's look at what the Browns did when they actually were playing on offense. They have a very efficient offense.
Mm-hmm.
Very efficient offense. The Steelers did start off shaky, and it kind of allowed the Browns probably to be more comfortable with the game because they had the fumble and I think he threw 2 interceptions in a row right after that. So 3 straight turnovers. So I'm pretty sure that allowed them to loosen up. But they playing with house money. Nobody's giving them a chance. I feel like the Browns, I wouldn't be surprised. I would be surprised because if the Browns actually upset the Chiefs. Because they have the formula to upset a team like the Chiefs. The way that they play, the way that they run the ball, they have the formula to do it. Slow the clock, slow the game down, make it a possession game, keep the ball out of Patrick Mahomes' hands, not let him get in the rhythm. And I'm not saying I'm picking them, but I wouldn't be surprised. What you think about that?
I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised either, but it ain't happening. I'm very well. I'm not gonna lie. I would. I was very impressed with the Browns team, and the Browns are for real, man. We can sit here and talk about it all they want, but I mean they won 12 games this year. including I think the one in the playoffs. I mean, they for real. They you don't win 12 games by accident. I don't care who you are. But my thing is, it's hard to stop Patrick Mahomes when Patrick Mahomes want to score. See, and a lot of people might not realize what I mean by that. Have you ever seen Kansas City get stopped on the last time drive? For some reason, he starts to run the ball a lot more when it matters most. See, if you really pay attention to the Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes don't run a lot. Oh, but when they need that last scoring drive or they need that first down, he will take off. When Patrick Mahomes has the mindset that I'm going to run the ball, that offense is unstoppable because you can't play him man-to-man and you can't double. So and if you've noticed, every time they need just one drive, they make it look real easy because he starts running. And I've noticed that a lot. I'm like, wait a minute. It's like they can't bro, they got like 13 points. Why are they moving up the field like that? He started running. That's the only difference. And so, I mean, with that being said, I think the Chiefs, they have too much firepower on offense for the Browns to stop them. If the Browns defense was a little bit better, I would agree with you. But as much as well as the Browns can run the ball, when I see Kansas City can go out there and put up points in a minute on them, how much does it really matter?
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. I don't think the Chiefs are gonna lose, but I do think if I was a gambling man, when I say gambling, I'm talking about like betting on spreads and betting on over unders and stuff, I would take the bet for Kansas City and the Browns. I would because I know the odds are low and a lot of people are probably not taking their bet, but I would put my money on the Browns. And if I won, you probably would make a good chunk of change, because the odds are probably like really terrible, for the Browns to actually beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna tell you.
I don't think the Browns are gonna beat the Chiefs, but hey, things happen. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think it's
they do have a good chance. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
And the thing is, I would take the Browns in this matchup too. It's a -10.
I would definitely take them for that, for a -10. But yeah, I didn't realize the over under was that bad.
Yeah, they giving Kansas City 10 points. I mean, you take the Browns all day. Actually, more people are probably gonna take the Browns than you probably think.
Yeah, the spread is 10. The over under is 57. That's gonna go over. They're gonna score more than 57 points. Because Kansas City gonna put up at least 30 themselves, and the Browns gonna have to put up points to go with them.
Right.
But yeah, so I just thought that's a good matchup. A lot of people like sleeping on that matchup because it's the Browns. They just had that negative legacy, if you want to say legacy is not negative. Like, I'm thinking I can't think of another word. They had that reputation because they're the Browns. So people are like, okay, they made the playoffs. Well, they playing the Chiefs. They only got a chance. Nobody gave them a chance against the Steelers. The Steelers beat them twice in the regular season. They beat them the last game of the season with a backup QB. Nobody gave the Browns a chance to win. So we'll see. Other games, we had the Rams and the Seahawks. That was disappointing. The Seahawks started off so promising, and their season just faded. And it faded for nothing. Don't even understand why. It's not like it was injuries. They actually started with injuries, and they got healthier over the season and played worse. Right. I just don't understand what happened with their team. I know the Rams are a good defense, but Russell Wilson, just kind of like fell off during the middle part to the end of the season.
They went away from what they do best.
Yeah,
running the ball and playing defense. You can't let Russell Wilson throw the ball all over the place, and especially against the Rams. Jalen Ramsey is for real.
Oh, he is.
You're not throwing the ball around the place on the Rams. You're just not going to do it.
Yeah. You have to run the ball.
You got to run the ball on them. You have to take advantage of the size of Aaron Donald. Because regardless of, he's a monster. People don't realize Aaron Donald only 6'1". He's 280, but he only 6'1". He's actually considered pretty small for a defensive tackle, even though he's a beast, but he's quick. The way you offset the Rams defense is by running the ball.
But he's strong as hell too.
No, I know, but I mean, but that's the only advantage you can get. Is to try to get a big offensive lineman on him or double him and run the ball. That's
run the ball on the Rams. Teams have run the ball on the Rams. Right. That's the formula. That's what you have to do. And I guarantee the the Packers are going to start off with that game plan because that's the way that coach thinks. He knows what he has in Aaron Rodgers. But if you pay attention to Aaron Rodgers has an MVP season, but he hasn't been throwing like 350, 400-yard games. He's been having like 3-4 touchdowns to like 200 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, doing a lot of short pass, like short game as far as the passes go, and a lot of running with Aaron Williams and Aaron whatever the boy name is. Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and they added AJ Dillon in a couple of weeks who got some good runs. So they definitely have been sticking to the run. It's very similar to Drew Brees. Drew Brees hasn't been thrown for 300-something yards, even though he's been hurt. So he definitely didn't have the year that Rodgers had. But they've been depending on their run game. But I think the Rams-Packers game, I like the Packers in this game. I think the quarterback situation for the Rams is going to be their hindrance. Golf is playing terrible.
That boy took the word right out of my mouth.
Golf is playing terrible. You know, and this guy Walford, he's not even going to be available, and he's terrible as well. You know, I mean, I don't even. Yeah.
You saw the backup, huh? Yeah. Yeah. And look, that's what I was going to tell you, bro. I read a stat yesterday on Jared Goff playing in Green Bay in 2 games when it was cold. 0-2, 0 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That is his stats in the 2 games in Green Bay while it was cold. And keep in mind, he got a broke thumb. Let's add that to it too. And he's, I'm actually really excited to see this game because this is going to be a chess match for me in my mind as far as the coaching goes, because I feel like both teams are capable of taking away the other team's best weapons. Mm-hmm. With what they have, is like talking about the Packers. I think the Packers are actually pretty weak against the run, but the Rams don't really run the ball that well.
They have their moments. They
do. They do.
Moments.
It's weird. It's kind of hard to. But the matchup I'm excited to see: Devontae Adams and Jalen Ramsey. Are we gonna see a 3-touchdown, 150-yard game out of Devontae Adams?
We're not.
I know. That was rhetorical. That was very rhetorical. Now, the person that I am keeping an eye on this game is Marquez Valdez-Scantling. That's the guy I can expect to have a big game. Him and Alan Lazard, one of those two, I expect to have a big game today because it will not be Devontae Adams.
Pay attention to Robert Tonyan. Rodgers goes to that tight end.
He does.
He goes to that tight end a lot. And I think that may be more of an option in this game because the Rams secondary is just good. It's not Jalen Ramsey is just like the number one cornerback, the shutdown, but they have a good secondary. So he may look to take advantage of those linebackers, because Robert Tonyan probably has better matchups. Also Aaron Jones, pay attention to Aaron Jones out of the backfield, catching passes. That's another avenue to where they may look for some mismatches on some linebackers or them nickel corners, So I think that may be what Rodgers, because he's smart. He's not going to. I don't think he's going to has anything to prove. He's not going to try to test.
Oh, he ain't going to force it.
He's going exactly when he has something there, he's going to take it. If it's not there, I don't think he's going to even force it. He wants a Super Bowl. He wants to cement his legacy. So I think he's definitely be playing, using his head and not his ego. Congrats to Lamar Jackson. The boy finally got that playoff win, got that monkey off his back. This is going to be a good game. Ravens and Bills. Oh, man, this is going to be a good one. I know Bills is my pick, but the Ravens look like the Ravens last year during the regular season. That's how they look now. It's like they start playing good football at the right time. Maybe like week, I'm estimating, I'm just kind of guessing. I think maybe week 12, 13 is when they really started lighting it up. I think it was against the Cowboys. I think that's the game where they start, running the ball really, really well. And since then, they have been looking great. And I told you the Bills was my pick, but I wasn't thinking about them facing the Ravens in the second round. I was thinking more about, that matchup against the Chiefs in in the finals, and the fact that they have very similar offenses and they both have decent defenses, I could see a scenario where the Bills win because Josh Allen is really dynamic, even though he's a step below Mahomes. But they might not make it past the Ravens. They might not make it past the Ravens.
I'm taking the Ravens today. Actually, I don't think they have enough. Stephon Diggs gonna go off because neither one of them cornerbacks that are supposedly two of the best in the league, they didn't show me nothing last week. I can't remember. But what's his name? Him up. I can't think of number 44. Yeah, AJ Brown. No, Marlon Humphreys. Marlon Humphreys.
Or
AJ Brown.
Smith.
No, it was Marlon Humphreys. AJ Brown ate him up. I mean, and he wasn't healthy. If you watch that game, AJ Brown was not 100%. I think he got a messed up hand or had something wrong with his wrist or something because you could tell it was bothering him all game. But I'm looking at the Ravens, and like you said, they're peaking at the right time. It's one thing. It's only one edge. I really think the Bills are the truth, bro. It's only one edge that I give the Ravens over the Bills. I think their defense is a little bit better.
Yeah,
because the Bills have not shown since they played a lot better since Tre'Davious White's come back. They have. He has made a big difference on that defense. You can just see it. But I still don't think they have enough to be able to stop that Ravens run game, and that's what I'm concerned about.
The reason I think the Ravens is a problem for the Bills is because of how they play offense.
Yeah,
Josh Allen, while his talent is superb. And like I say, he's one of the up and coming, stars. He's there. He's not up and coming. He's there. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. You could probably argue he's right there in the top 3. What we don't know about him is his resolve and resilience when it comes to pressure situations.
Mm-hmm.
We know that if Mahomes was playing the Ravens, we know how that would go. We've seen it already against the Ravens. Mm-hmm. Ravens run the ball really well. They take time off the clock. How is Josh Allen going to respond if without having that? The defense get him the ball because they have lots of possessions. They put up lots of points.
Mm-hmm.
But most teams can't stop them. If the Ravens are able to give them a harder time and they're able to move the ball and Josh Allen has to play from behind, like how is he going to respond? Is he going to make mistakes? Is he going to get pressured and rush passes? Is he going to not go through his progressions? Is he going to just start running the ball and not really give himself a chance to push the ball down the field? Like those are things that we have to think about with Josh Allen. We haven't seen that in this type of situation. So that is what that's what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about the Bills not being successful against the Ravens. Because if that defense starts off really, really well and their offense starts off really, really well, then the Bills may have to play from behind. And we've seen them play from behind in a couple of games. Like I even think about the Jets when the Jets put the clamps on them.
Yeah.
We've seen some games where when the defense really comes to play, Josh Allen has a difficult time like adjusting. Right. So I'm excited about that game. That's probably the game I'm most wanting to watch from a excitement standpoint because of those two dynamic quarterbacks. But my favorite game is the one that I saved for last, of course, the one I care the most about, the Bucks and the Saints. I picked the Saints to go to the Super Bowl. It's crazy. You let these thoughts get in your head. People say stuff like, "Oh man, beat the team 3 times in a row. That's just super hard. It's super hard." Well, it is hard, but would we be saying that if the Bears was playing the Jets for the 3rd time in a row? Let me tell you why I say that. I say that because the Saints are clearly better than the Jets. So if they played them 5 times, bro, every single time the Saints would be favored, and most people, if not all, would be like the Saints gonna win this game. The Bucks have a good team, but the Saints have clearly been the better team.
Mm-hmm.
This is not basketball. This is football. Now, can the Bucks win? Yes, any given Sunday, they could come and they could just be clicking on all cylinders. But the Bucks are not as good as everybody thinks.
They're not.
How many teams have they beat that actually are good? 1. The Green Bay Packers. They beat the Green Bay Packers, and that was like an anomaly because they've never had a game like that. You could argue that the Green Bay Packers, they didn't play up to par. Not that the Bucks played up to par, because it's not like Tom Brady killed it. The defense had 2 interceptions. That's not indicative of their defense. Their defense, plays well against bad teams, plays terrible against good teams. So they've lost every game that actually matters when it comes to, when I say matters, not matters. They lost all the games outside of the Packers when it comes to good teams. There was good records, like playoff teams. They've lost those games. And the Saints beat them very convincingly twice. Now, if you want to say the first game was the very first time the team was together in their training camp, great. Second game was not that. So I'm not going to allow the thoughts that people, have with beating the team 3 times, like, have me all stressed out because I'm a Saints fan.
Well, I'm gonna give you something, make you feel a little better. This comes from another Saints fan that I'm friends on Facebook with. Shout out to Mike T. Tannehill. He is actually, from everything I've seen and just listening to him, he pretty legit and he's very accurate when it comes to his statistics and things that he put out there. Well, I'm gonna read a little snippet of what he put on Facebook about 8 hours ago. In the history of the NFL, the scenario of facing a team, primarily the same one in the division, can you tell you're a Saints fan? 3 times in the same season has happened 17 times. He said, do you know the record of the undefeated team in that situation? It's 12-5, 70.5%. Yeah, I guess that debunks the hard to beat teams 3 times in a season argument, being that they're 12-5 when it does actually happen. So
see, that's a point to my analogy. If the Saints was playing the Jets,
just give you a little bit of give you a little boast of confidence that the teams that have won those previous 2 games win 70% of the time in that 3rd game. So with that being said, I don't think it really matters. And another thing is the Saints are just better. It's not like these are 2 evenly matched teams going head to head. The Saints are the most, and anybody can argue it with me. And me, I'm a 49ers fan, obviously in the back, but I am kind of team Saints second as far as the secondary team. And there's not a team left in this playoffs you're gonna convince me that's got the overall team, offense, defense, special teams, the whole package that the Saints have.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. And I agree with you. Yeah, and even and I know when you say that, people are like, what about the Chiefs? Well, the Chiefs just has Patrick Mahomes. He's able to rise above, but from top to bottom, the Saints have the best team, the most balanced team on both sides of the ball. So I agree with you 100%. It's just, if put like this, if you put Patrick Mahomes on the Saints, they're even better than the Chiefs because of the completeness of everything else that the Saints have. So that's football. I think the finals, the conference finals, I'm saying it's going to be Bills, because I'm sticking with my pick, even though I'm a little worried that they may lose, but Bills, Chiefs, Saints, Packers. So, and I think that's probably your picks as well. No? Oh, you picked Ravens. My bad. That's right. You picked the Ravens. Yeah, you did say Ravens.
And I'm gonna go ahead and put it out there. I'm jumping on the bandwagon, bro. It's not really a bandwagon, but I'm changing my Super Bowl pick. I'm going with the upset. Of course I do. I'm going Ravens. Chiefs? I'm going Ravens over Chiefs.
I like that pick.
I'm going to go Ravens and Saints in the Super Bowl. I know I initially said Chiefs and Saints. I'm going to go Ravens and Saints.
I like that pick. I would love to see Lamar Jackson in the Super Bowl. I mean, and if for some reason the Saints don't win, I would love to see him win it.
Hey, all he needed was a little confidence, bro. All he needed was to know he could do it. And that sometimes a win like that to get that monkey off your back puts that swag back in place. And when you have that mentality, like, we ain't got nothing to lose. Didn't nobody expect us to be here anyway. And they kind of going in it with that. Didn't nobody expect us to win. They thought we were going to lose to Tennessee. When you start going in with that kind of swag and you got the kind of talent Lamar Jackson got, anything can happen. Just ask Michael Vick. We saw what he did to Green Bay several years ago. Yeah. So don't think for a second that it can't happen.
I'm with you all the way. So let's transition over to the basketball. We got some
we got some juiciness.
Yes. So as everyone is already aware, there was a mega blockbuster trade that occurred a few days ago involving James Harden going to the Brooklyn Nets. Now the secondary pieces, which I say secondary because nobody sees them as being as important. Oladipo is now a Houston Rocket. Karis LeVert is now in Indiana Pacer. Jared Allen and Taurean Prince are now Cleveland Cavaliers. There may be a couple of other people that were moved that don't matter. If I miss somebody, I don't care because it's not a big deal. But let's just go ahead and get into the meat of it. What does this mean for the Brooklyn Nets?
That they got 3 really good superstars and gonna get bounced out of the first round of the playoffs.
Why do you say that?
Unless they're the number 1 seed and they end up playing the 8 seed, they're gonna get bounced. And people ask me like, man, they got Harden, Durant, and Kyrie. I don't care if you can score 130 if you can't stop the other team from scoring 135. If you put that team against Philadelphia, Milwaukee, I will say even Boston, they gonna light them up. Nobody on that. Okay. In my opinion, before the trade, well, not in my opinion, we know this. Me and you specifically know this just from DFS. When players play in Brooklyn, you play them. Even the lower level players, they will probably have big games. Well, there are 3 best defensive players, and you can chime in on this if you disagree. But I felt like their 3 best defensive players was Karis LeVert, Taurean Prince, and Jared Allen. Didn't you just mention all 3 of those people being gone?
Mm-hmm.
The only person I heard you say they added was James Harden.
Yep.
Did I miss anybody?
Nope.
So your defense got worse. You got worse from being worst in the league. How are you going to stop anybody? I mean, literally, you play no defense. I don't see you beating the Mavs.
So I agree with you, and that was a problem before they even made the trade. The defense was terrible, but I think there's another dynamic that we really have to pay attention to, and it's the team chemistry. Let's assume for a second that Kyrie, is on his meds, and he's back on the team, and everything is normal with him mentally. Let's assume that for a second. Because that's a whole nother dynamic that we got to talk about, like his mentality. But let's just talk about basketball for a second. You got 3 ball-dependent superstars on one team. 3 players who have egos, real egos. As far as 2 people who have real egos: Kyrie Irving and James Harden. We already know that Kevin Durant, he don't have that leadership gene as far as this is my team. I want the ball in my hands. He's willing to share. He's that kind of guy, whatever. But you got 2 guys that are very, very prideful in how they are seen as far as who they are on the team. Like James Harden has never coexisted with another star or superstar. And we've seen him with stars that he doesn't have a relationship with, and it worked out terrible. We've seen him with stars that he does have a relationship with, and it worked out terrible. So when you look at how much he has the ball in his hands, and he has to, we have not seen him be able to be a catch and shoot guy. We've seen him with arguably the best pure point guard in the league in Chris Paul, and he still never transitioned to being an off the ball player. He still needs to have the ball in his hands most of the time, even with a guy like Chris Paul, who could have probably set him up to be the best or most efficient scorer he could have been in his career. He still needs the ball in his hands. So that's not going to change with Kyrie. who also needs the ball in his hands because he's a shoot first point guard. He's not even a pass first point guard. He's a shoot first point guard.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going? And Kevin Durant clearly is the better of the three.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to defer? Who's going to be the third wheel? Somebody has to be the third wheel. Has to be the third wheel. And who's going to like the clearly like if you look at if you want to rank the players, like most people would say Kevin Durant is number 1, James Harden number 2, Kyrie number 3. So your first thought is Kyrie needs to defer. But Kyrie don't look at himself as number 3. Mm-hmm. Kyrie don't see himself as the third best person. Chris Bosh knew he was the third best person on the Heat.
Right.
Chris Bosh knew he was going to be him that deferred. It was D Wade's team, and it was LeBron, who at the time was arguably the best in the league, challenging Kobe Bryant. So Chris Bosh knew his role on that team, even though he was the leader of Toronto. Mm-hmm. Kyrie's the champion. He got rings. James Harden got no rings. You know what I'm saying? His ego is not going to say, I'm the third best person on this team, I'm going to defer. He's just not. Yeah. So, like, what is the dynamic? How's the chemistry going to work when you got 3 people who need the ball in hand, 2 of them who probably are going to be pissed if they don't get enough shots every game to be productive?
Well, I've thought about this. This is the positive thing that I think the James Harden trade did for Brooklyn. It's going to put his damn ego in check. I'm going to tell you why. I've seen 2 of them play off the ball. Not very much, but we've seen Kyrie play off the ball. We know he can do it. Clearly, he did it with LeBron. He can play off the ball. Probably out of the 3 Durant too, but Durant's the guy. Let's be clear. And see, this is the only difference I feel like in James Harden not changing his game to what he's going to do now. He doesn't have a choice. They're not coming to you. These guys are not coming to Houston. You went to them. I'm going to tell you the example I made with a coworker. Who was the best player on Golden State?
You want me to answer that question?
You can. I know we know the question, but it was Kevin Durant.
Oh, you?
Yeah, I did want you to answer. It was rhetorical, but I still wanted you to answer it just to make sure you agree with me.
Yeah.
But Kevin Durant, whose team was it? Stephen Curry's, because Kevin Durant came to him. This is Kevin Durant's team. There's not going to be an argument about that. James Harden just jumped on the bandwagon. I don't think that's going to be an issue for them. And I do think James Harden, and, he hadn't done it since he went to Houston, but he can play off the ball. He's done it. He's just has refused not to, and Houston never made him. See,
when did he play off the ball?
In OKC. I know he came off the bench, but
he had the ball in his hands. He ran point guard. He didn't really play off the ball in OKC.
But he did at times. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying he's not incapable of doing it. He's just not been made to do it. Houston let him do whatever he wanted. That's why him and Chris Paul didn't get along. If he would have actually, but you ain't going to Brooklyn like you was in Houston, because this ain't your team no more. You went to somebody else's team. You're gonna have to fit in.
See, so that's what he's gonna have to do. The question is he?
Yeah,
and I think you may be convinced that he is. I'm not, and I'm gonna tell you why. Harden has not shown that he's just this player who just wants to win a championship. That's not what he's shown. What he's shown is, I need to be the one that wins the championship. So he has to show me that he can defer. He had no choice but to defer at OKC because he was drafted after he was coming off the bench. He wasn't a starter. That was his role. He went to Houston because he knew his worth. He knew what he wanted.
Yeah.
If they went to a championship. Everybody says that if that team would have stayed together, they probably would have a finals already. They probably would have won the finals.
Of course.
But he chose to leave.
Yeah.
So and then when you look at how he ran the team, that was his team. Ball always in his hand. This is how I want to play. So there's no evidence. But it's not. They allowed it, but at the same time, that's what he wanted. How many times in history do you have superstars who change their behavior because the team don't allow it? It don't happen often. So he has to prove to me that that's what he can be. That's what he wants to be. He's going to defer now that he got the trade. Hey, I have to see that. I'm not giving him that. I'm not giving him that. I'm not going to assume that he's going to do that. I'm not going to give him, a pass or not a pass, but I'm not just going to say, oh yeah, he going to do it because this is why. No, you got to show that because he also has a legacy. He also has a legacy to uphold.
Right. And the only reason that I feel like he's gonna fall in line is because this is the first time since he's been in OKC where he wasn't the best player on the team. You're not. It's not even close. It's not even an argument. We know who the guy is. You know who the guy is. You going to that team knowing who the guy is. So I mean, I think you have to even demand and want what he got.
That's also
He wanted to
though.
go there. He wanted to go there. I feel like that's a sign in itself that he wanted to go there. He didn't say I want to go to another team where I can be the guy. He wanted to go join KD. And everybody knows KD's the man.
I know he wanted to go join KD, and I know he wanted to go there, but at the same time, I still got to see it because I'm not convinced that him as a professional athlete who has just as many great statistics as KD outside of the 2 championships is convinced that KD is better than him. We know that. No. Let me explain why. Because you are an athlete, and right now as a grown man, you'll sit up there and say, well, yeah, Tre'Davious White better than me in the pros. But when you were actually playing the game, you didn't believe anybody was better than you. You felt that you could run with anybody at your position. Even the people that was getting the best scholarships, you felt like if you had a chance, you would show them that you was the man. James Harden has taken his team as a leader further than Kevin Durant has. He's more successful as a leader of a team than Kevin Durant. So why would he believe that Kevin Durant is better? We know he is because we see the game. When we start saying Kevin Durant 7 foot, got a 7'4", 7'5" wingspan, can shoot from all over the court, rebound, play defense. James Harden, man, I done took my team, I done led my team better than Kevin Durant. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I've done more. I didn't lead to go to a 74 win, 73 win team. You know what I'm saying? So why would he believe that? Why would he believe it? Why would he believe it?
No, Chris Paul took your team to that.
No. But no. I'm not saying that's what I believe.
You're in the mind of James Harden. I'm saying it from
the mind of James Harden.
Yeah,
that's his team. He's the one that made all that happen. He's the one that was there for all those years, all that success. So it's easy for us to say that Kevin Durant is better, but I don't know if he believes that. And I would put money on the fact that James Harden would not just come out and say, well, yeah, Kevin Durant is better than me. So that's why I want to go play with him. I need somebody to play with that's an alpha because I'm not that. That's not coming out of his mouth because I don't believe that's what he thinks.
I feel like he's gonna fall in line because and the reason I feel that is because I think his legacy has been hurt, and I think he does want to repair that. If you ever really just pay attention to James Harden, I know we all know he liked the clubs and all that, but as far as just his, what's the word I'm looking for? His name, I guess you could say. You never really hear people just come out and say a lot of negative stuff about James Harden. You never have. There's always been closed door stuff that we know has went on behind the scenes, but you just don't really never hear too many bad things about James Harden publicly besides he like to go to the club.
So when you say bad things, what are you meaning?
What I mean by bad things is, for example, there's not that. Yes, I've heard that he's a bad teammate and stuff like that. And
that's why I was asking because
yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is negative stuff that you're gonna bring negative light as far as the way people look at you. We've heard behind closed doors that he was a bad teammate, but I've also heard behind closed doors that Chris Paul wasn't a good teammate. Those are whispers. Those aren't things that have been confirmed. Right now, it's been confirmed that he's a jerk. He came out, he pushed his way out of Houston. And I think he's already come out and started defending himself, trying to recant the things he said. I think he knew he screwed up, and I think he's going to be on a mission to try to repair that. I don't think he's going to Brooklyn to try to bust this thing up. He truly,
I don't think he's trying to do anything.
I think at this point in his career, I think he does want a championship. Where I do agree with you at.
Oh, he does want a championship. I agree.
Their egos, you got one that's crazy, one that's soft, And the other one, I don't know what the hell. His mind goes from one way to the other. I'm talking about Harden in general. You know,
Yeah.
one night he at the club, then another night he come out and drop 56 points. So I don't know. They are three very, very weird individuals.
Yeah, I just
But
like I say, I don't see it, man. I
you
don't.
know,
I have to see it. I
I
have to
think
see it.
they'll get along better. Like Chris Paul and James Harden. You know where I see where they clash at?
It doesn't. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't. I think everybody knows why they clash. They clash because Chris Paul is a leader and he's hard nosed and he gets in your face.
Right.
So I know what they clash. People who said that Chris Paul is a hard teammate to be with are soft.
Yeah, there are people that don't want to be great.
They couldn't
He
play.
want greatness out of you.
They couldn't play with somebody like Jordan because Chris
Right.
Paul probably has that type of leadership mentality.
Right.
But the like confirmation, you know, sometimes you don't need confirmation. You just got to see the data that exists, and the data shows that Harden does not get along. Things didn't work out with him and the other stars on this team. So Chris Paul and Harden are the only one I think they like end up having a really bad relationship. No, him and Dwight Howard end up having a bad relationship.
Well, Dwight had a bad relationship with Kobe too.
Yeah, but it was different with James Harden. It was different with James Harden. It was different with that team.
I don't like Dwight.
But it's still
I understand.
matters.
No, I understand the premise.
And then Russell Westbrook, and then when you look at Russell Westbrook, that's the real key piece because now you got somebody who that's my boy. We cool. We got a relationship, and we couldn't make it work. Egos have their own personality. You know, when you say you think he's gonna go there and try to make it work, I agree. That's what he's going to try to do. What did T.O. say when he went to all these different teams and everybody knew his personality? You know, he gonna do what he's supposed to do. He say all the right things on camera, and then when he's on the sidelines and he feel like he can help the team, he's passionate, and he on the sidelines, you know, running them up. And while you can call it passion or while you can call it something else, what it came down to is he wanted to be more involved because he felt like he knew his work to the team. So what's going to happen if James Harden is not getting the opportunities to help the team the way he feels he can? Or is he just going to sit back and say, hey, you know, I'm just letting it go. I'm just going to do what the coach say. I'm not going to say nothing. Or is he going to be vocal? Or is he going to, you know, be seen as somebody who's now causing the problem? Because, you know, that's the way the narrative normally goes is that there's chemistry problems in the locker room and blah, blah, blah. Right. It's James Harden the cause. So that's what I'm talking about. When it actually starts to go down, what's going to happen? Anyways, so we talked about this long enough. We got to go ahead and move on to the implications of the other team. Unless you want to go ahead and add something real quick.
Just one more thing. I actually think all of them will be happy because I think all of them going to be able to get up almost 20 shots a game. To be honest with you, especially with the rotations, it's only them three and nobody else to shoot. So they'll all get their taste and their feel of being able to get their shots up and stuff like that. Now, how they mesh together, of course, we need to see, but I think they're all going to have plenty of shots to go around with it just being them three on the team, basically, and nobody else can shoot except Joe Harris.
We'll see. We will see. The Houston Rockets picked up Oladipo. I think the Houston Rockets are winning right now. They have tons of draft picks, and they have some good pieces on their team. You know, they got John Wall is still really good. Christian Wood, he's a diamond in the rough,
bro.
And they got DeMarcus Cousins. I don't know what's gonna happen with DeMarcus Cousins. He only on a 1-year contract. Who knows if they're gonna continue to keep him? But he's definitely somebody that you would love coming off the bench. His defense is a little off, but you know. And then when you look at these young players that's playing hard, Deshaun Tate, you know, he's looking good out there as a young player. Sterling Brown, they played the other day. They look pretty good as a unit, you know. And they got all these picks. They really stocking up. I like what the Rockets doing. Now you add Oladipo to the mix. John Wall, Oladipo, Christian Wood. That's the cornerstone of they starting five. I think that they could. I mean, who knows what the dynamics is going to be? But the reason why I like it is because Oladipo is a true shooting guard. John Wall is a true point guard. Christian Wood is a big man who can stretch the floor. That's a good combination to have.
It is.
You know,
it is. I agree.
You know, so I'm excited to see how they're gonna put that together, how that's gonna look. I think the Houston Rockets are winning right now. Indiana Pacers, they winning. I like that move that they made with Karis LeVert. They still got T.J. Warren, who's hurt. I'm interested to see how they're going to structure this team as far as starters and who's coming off the bench. What I didn't like about Brooklyn is I feel like they didn't use Karis LeVert the way they should have when they were at full strength, even with Spencer Dinwiddie before he got hurt. Karis LeVert, and after Spencer Dinwiddie got hurt, I thought Karis LeVert was going to get 30 plus minutes, come off the bench, finish with the starters, with Durant and Irving, and they were giving him 25, 26 minutes a game.
And the boy's an all-star, man.
He is. He's really good. So I didn't quite understand that. And so with Indiana, obviously the obvious thing is that we assume that he's going to start. But I can see a scenario where he's coming off the bench because he is so dynamic and he could lead a second unit, and he's shown that. And so I'm kind of curious to see how Indiana's going to use LeVert. What you think?
Honestly, as far as Houston goes, it ain't too many times you say you probably get rid of one of the top 4 or 5 players in the league, probably top 3 if you ask most people, and you get better. Well, they clearly got better. And I'm not even talking about for the future. I'm talking about right now. Because first of all, you had a disgruntled player that didn't want to be there. I told people the other day in that last game before he made the comments, James Harden had 17 points. James Harden can wake up and have 17 points. He clearly wasn't trying. So with that being said, you add Oladipo. We know, he hadn't come back to his all-star form, but he's shown flashes. You add John Wall, who does look like he's back to all-star form. And like you said, Christian Wood. Christian Wood is an all-star. That boy is something. He the real deal. He'll be up in the arguments for Defensive Player of the Year and things like that very, very soon. So with that being said, you got a core nucleus. And like you mentioned, the players around them that they have, as far as the Ben McLemores, the Jayshawn Tate, he looked real good actually as a rookie. So with all that, I think the Houston are up and coming, and of course they got a buttload of picks, first round picks coming over the next few years. So it's a no brainer who won and who's winning in this situation as far as Houston goes. Now Indiana, I would love to see. I want to see Karis LeVert start. Dude need to be starting. Dude need to be playing upward of 35 plus minutes. He ain't played a lot of minutes none of his career. He's young. Somebody need to get that boy to rock and let him go. We saw what he could do.
So you're right. You're right. It would be great for him to start, and he probably wants to start. But I look at that team as presently constructed. All right. So you got Malcolm Brogdon, who's a high usage point guard.
Mm-hmm.
You have Sabonis, who's a high usage power forward. Now, there's a good mix with Sabonis and Miles Turner, because Miles Turner, the thing is Miles Turner, I've heard this, and I wonder if it's going to happen. They said that Miles Turner may be traded by the end of the year because he's not really able to play at his full capacity, because he can shoot the 3 too.
Mm-hmm.
But Sabonis plays on down low, and he spreads the court because he can do both as well. So having those two big men, they're not like two totally different types of big men. And I think Sabonis is bigger than Miles Turner.
He is.
but he played a power forward. But anyways, that's beside the point. So and then you have right now you got Austin Holiday, Doug McDermott, Justin Holiday, and that's pretty much the crux of the team. So if you start Karis LeVert, then you start Justin Holiday because he's been starting. That means your second unit, for the most part, is going to be comprised of Aaron Holiday and Doug McDermott. That's who you're going to depend on for your points. Now, could they run a rotation where Karis LeVert or Brogdon or somebody come out the first 5 minutes, take a few minutes off as a break, and then bring them in with the second unit? Teams do that. They could do that. But the way that they've been playing, those starters, they play a good first 8 or 9 minutes as a squad. And if you bring in those bench players, Aaron Holiday has shown his production is better off the bench.
Absolutely.
But they don't play better as a unit when he and McDermott are leading the squad. Now, if you throw Aaron Holiday in the starters, yes, his production takes a hit, but he's a capable player with that group of players. Then you bring in Karis LeVert off the bench with McDermott and the other bench players. Now you got somebody who really officially running that thing. and then you finish the game. You finish the game with LeVert with the starters.
Well, I kind of like what you said about let him come in for 5, because they kind of did that with Oladipo. Let him start, come in for the first 5 minutes. You pull him out early. You bring him back in with about a minute or two left in the second quarter to go along with that second unit and let him run it then.
Yeah.
I think this kid needs to be getting as many minutes as possible. Like,
I agree with that part. He does need as many minutes as possible. He can do that off the bench. He can get
I agree.
35 minutes.
I'm just saying. I think he should be a starter. And I think he wants to be a starter. That's the other thing to it too. I think he really wants to be. We've seen what he looks like when he starts. And
you got to think about T.J. Warren coming back. I forgot.
No, I am, and that's why I'm saying it's a great idea of what you're saying about let him come in the first 4 or 5 minutes, pull him out, because you still got T.J. Warren, Malcolm Brogdon, and stuff like that. But I think you let him start. You let him start. You hit him in the mouth, kind of like what they do with Joel Embiid. Let him play the first 3 or 4 minutes, take him out. Yeah. Bring him back in with the second unit and let him run it. I feel like that kid needs to be starting, man. I mean,
I feel like he needs to be starting too. And the only reason, like I said, only reason why I say what I say is because when you look at the dynamic of that team that he went to, I can see a scenario where he comes off the bench as a 6th man. But I definitely think he deserves to start. He's definitely a starter in the league, and I mean, he's good. He's a dynamic young player, So I mean, for me, so the winners and losers of this trade, of course, you never know who wins or loses until you get some sample.
Right.
But my prediction of who won, I think Houston won in this trade. I think the Pacers won in this trade. And I think the Brooklyn Strippers won in this trade.
Yeah, I would have to give you that. Yeah. I would definitely give you that. Trust me,
they
were more excited than anybody.
Exactly. Like the only thing that won in Brooklyn that I can see right now is the strippers.
Right. Hey, I have to agree with you on that. I literally heard somebody come out and say yesterday that James Harden, if he gonna thank anybody in Houston, he need to be thanking all the strippers and stuff that took care of him over the years. Somebody literally came out and said that. So, I mean, it's no secret. There's no secret. So, I mean, with that being said, I agree with you 100%. I feel like Houston overall murdered it. I feel like the Cavs won a little bit. We didn't touch on the Cavs as much, but I don't think the Cavs. You're right. But I'm gonna tell you why. You got a young core. The Cavs are not. They are very, very young. Adding Jared Allen to that team, I thought was very important, because I don't think Andre Drummond is their long-term answer. But you can kind of play them together. They have a big backcourt. I think you can. I don't think it's a formula to win. I think they're going to get rid of Drummond soon. I don't think Drummond is in their future plans.
Drummond, they would get rid of Drummond now. They can't. His contract is dead weight. He's being paid handsomely, and nobody's going to take his contract. Nobody's going to take his contract. He's not going anywhere.
But I don't think he got over. I think it's over after this year.
I don't think it's over after this year. I think he signed a long-term contract in Detroit, and I think that's part of the reason why he's still with. That's why Detroit wanted to get rid of him, because of his contract, and because they they were just a team that needed the cap space.
I didn't think that's what it was at all.
Yeah, Detroit was a rebuilding team.
I'm looking it up now. I mean,
yeah, Detroit was a rebuilding team. I don't know how many years he got. I have to imagine that he has more time on his contract than one more year.
Yeah, he's only making like $28 million a year.
You said only $28 million a year. That's a lot of money.
Drummond's pretty good, man.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm talking about somebody trading for that money.
But I think I think he might be up after next year, because I think they say, and what I'm looking at is he signed that contract in 2017 and it was a 5-year deal.
So then maybe this may be his last year then. And if that's the case, then if that's the case, then maybe this is a good trade.
I think that's why the Cavs wanted Jared Allen.
But the reason why I still say maybe, so I heard this on one of the podcasts I listened to. I don't know if you heard this before, but Larry Nance tweeted he nicknamed the backcourt Darius Garland and Colin Sexton. He nicknamed him Sexland.
Yeah, I heard that.
You heard that?
Yeah.
That is hilarious. And then when they traded for Jared Allen, he said, "Now we got Sexland covered in trees." It's because they have Drummond, McGee, Larry Nance, Jared Allen. All four of them do the same shit.
Mm-hmm.
They do the same exact thing.
They actually got the floor. Another one.
None of them stretched. Who's the other person? Who's the other?
The other kid. He's been playing the last few games.
Okoro. He's a small forward. That's what you talking about? Okoro?
No, not Okoro. I'm gonna give him to you.
Lamar Stevens. No, that's Lamar. I think Lamar Stevens is the guard.
I'm looking for the last game they actually played. But yeah, no. Go ahead.
But I know they got another kid named Dean Wade. I'm not sure. I don't think it's him though. I think he's like
I'm finna tell you who it is right now. I'm pulling it up as we speak.
But
it is Stevens. It's Marcus Bolden and Lamar Stevens.
Lamar Stevens, yeah. So it's like all those guys do the same thing. Literally get rebounds, put back up. They don't stretch the floor. They're like so like
I just realized they got Thon Maker too.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's right. They got Thon Maker too. So it's like they got a team full of power forwards and centers. So it's like, yeah, you're right. Drummond is not and Kevin Love. Let's not forget about him, who's hurt.
Right.
Now he can stretch the floor though. So you can see Kevin Love's value can be a little bit different because he can't stretch the floor. But you got Drummond is not a long-term part of the team. So if he is a free agent, then yes. But you still got all these other guys. So unless they see Jared Allen as their center of the future and those other pieces are pieces they're looking to ship away or get rid of, and they want to build with Jared Allen, then you're right. That was a good trade because they're looking forward. But as it presently stays right now, no. Like, it just shifted to a DF on perspective. Once Jared Allen starts, I'm not touching Drummond. I need to see how this looks. I need to see how the rotation is, and I need to see all of that. Because if their guy gonna be splitting minutes, then Drummond is gonna lose a lot of value. But this is not a daily fantasy show, so I'm not gonna go too deep. We can talk about that later.
But did you notice they've been playing Drummond and McGee a lot?
Not a lot. No.
No, when I say a lot, they playing McGee getting 20
a little.
McGee getting 20-25 minutes a game.
Yeah,
is what I mean by that.
But most of those minutes come when he's in the game by himself, not with Drummond. Most of those minutes are just him coming in for Drummond. Larry Nance is not getting any center minutes. JaVale McGee is taking those up. Larry Nance used to get center minutes to back up Drummond, and now he's not getting any because JaVale McGee's getting them. Yeah, and if you look at the log, you'll really see Drummond with like 30-minute games, 31-minute games, and JaVale McGee with like 20. So they really, they really like they don't play together. They play JaVale McGee, spells him. So it's gonna be interesting. I feel like JaVale McGee is gonna be the loser in this because Jared Allen is probably going to take his minutes.
Oh, you're right. You're right. He definitely won't be there next year. But I've noted, I was just looking, the Cavaliers to kind of shorten their rotation. I mean, all of them boys played over 40 minutes last night. And
a lot of that has to also do with
Sexton and Garland. Right.
Sexland missing. Sexland is close.
Yeah, and Larry, and I'll give Larry Nance a little credit. Larry Nance can spread the floor a little bit. He's not 40% three-point shooter, but, he shoots 4 or 5 a game.
Everybody's scared of Larry Nance when he catches the ball.
I know. I'm just saying he can. He is probably the one besides Kevin Love who can, kind of play on the perimeter a little bit more. But But my point is, I think that Jared Allen move was good for them in the future. Not right now, but in the future with that young core. Because Jared Allen, people don't realize Jared Allen only like 26.
Yeah.
He's still really, really young. So, I think adding him we all saw in Brooklyn, Jared Allen was coming. Like, this kind of looked like it was going to be a breakout year. Like, he been balling. So,
when he gets the opportunity. Yeah.
Exactly. So, you see what happened the last couple of games in Brooklyn. DeAndre Jordan wasn't starting no more. Matter of fact, the last game before they traded Jared Allen, DeAndre Jordan got a DNP. Coach's decision. He didn't touch the floor. Jared Allen was coming along. He was hit. he took the center position in Brooklyn. He was playing that well. He took that. DeAndre Jordan didn't even touch the floor the last game he was there. So, I mean, anybody's happy out of this situation. It was DeAndre Jordan. He get to play again. But no, I think that's going to help Cleveland in the long run.
Yeah. All right, so it's time to give out these L's. So who holding this L for you this week, man?
Man, you go first, man. You go first. I'm gonna dive in last.
Okay. It's so many L's you can give. So many deserving people who should be holding the L in this last week. But I'm gonna have to go with the obvious, even though we kind of talked about these situations the whole time. I was debating on Kyrie or James. And I'm gonna have to give it to Kyrie. I'm gonna have to give it to Kyrie. Kyrie has to hold this L because listen, I'm all for doing what you want as a man. I'm all for making your decisions. But when you make those decisions, you have to be ready for the consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't be one of those people who does what you want to do and then argues why you should be able to do it and not have any fallout. That's the dumb shit. That's the dumb shit right there. You should be aware of the fallout. And if you're okay with the fallout, then do what you want to do. Kyrie, if you want to say, you know what, I ain't coming to work, and I'm not going to say play basketball because it's a job. If you want to say I'm not coming to work and I'm going to suffer the consequences, by all means, do you. You want to party with your family, you want to stay home and do what you want to do, by all means, have a great time. But don't act like you are not supposed to be punished by your employer because you make those decisions. You know, I liken it to my job. I am an educator. I depend on the people that I work with to show up to work. I'm an assistant principal. If the teacher doesn't show up, I understand because we all have lives. But it does have an effect on the rest of the school day. I have to do a little something else. If we don't have a sub pick up the job, they have to do a little something else. Everybody has to work together to make it work. And it's fine. It's a normal part of the process. But if you are a person who just doesn't come to work because of your personal problems, as if everybody else's personal problems don't matter, as if we are not dealing with our day-to-day issues and still coming to work, and you decide to take off for several days to weeks at a time, and we're left picking up your slack over and over again, we have a problem with you.
Right.
Brooklyn Nets have championship aspirations. Kevin Durant don't have to come out and say it for you to know that he's frustrated with this dude. Whether they friends or not, I guarantee you he's frustrated with this dude. They have a lot on the line. And Kevin Durant is sitting there by himself running the team because Kyrie Irving want to get his mind right.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Hold the cell, Kyrie. I know you're coming back to play the game this evening. I hope you're feeling better. I don't want nobody having a mental breakdown, but you need to hold the cell, dude, because you're losing.
Yeah, that's why I let you go first, because I really couldn't decide which one of them I wanted to pick. So I figured you would be more steadfast on picking one, and I'd just jump on the other one because, yeah, you know who the other one is. But I'm not even finna, let me be clear. My L is not going to James Harden this week because of the trade or because of even what he said on the podium. My L is going to James Harden for what you said afterwards, what you said yesterday. You actually had the audacity to say, I've been there for a very long time. I have been through all the ups and downs, with that organization. I wasn't disrespectful towards anyone. I'm going to stop right there. You came out on national TV and said your team is not good enough to do anything. You even added on the end of this, I just made a comment that the team as a whole wasn't good enough to compete for a title. You just disrespected every player on that team, dude. What do you mean you're not being disrespectful? Not only are you disrespecting the whole team, you're disrespecting the coaching staff, you're disrespecting everybody who's trying to fight in the same direction. Keep in mind, y'all are not good enough to win anything because you ain't out there trying to win nothing. Y'all actually have some really good pieces. Well, you had some really good pieces, James Harden. You probably actually had a better overall team than you've had in a while, as far as all the way around. And you didn't even want to try to make it work. But you're going to come out and say, man, I wasn't being disrespectful, man. Look, I came in fat. I came in out of shape, all that. But I wasn't disrespecting nobody. I was just doing me. Fuck everybody. But that ain't disrespectful. How can y'all say I'm disrespectful because I ain't worried about nobody but myself? Maybe we should have said selfish. Maybe we should have said jerk. Maybe we should have said... There's so many words I can give you, James Harden, that I'm gonna just give you the L. That's all I'm gonna give you, because there's a lot of words I'm gonna give you, but I'm gonna just give you the letter, and we're gonna take it in for the day, man.
And James Harden, the team still ain't good enough to win a championship. At least that's how I feel.
I love it.
That's our episode for today. This is Hold This L. I'm Cappel.
And I'm Lonnie.
And we out.
Peace.